Have you ever had that feeling, that frustrating, kind of swirling feeling of being completely unmoored?
Hmm.
Like you're constantly reacting to what everyone else needs instead of, actually steering your own life?
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Well, if that sounds familiar, this is definitely the deep dive you need today.
Absolutely.
We are getting into the work of Mick Ukleja and Robert L. Lorber, a couple of PhDs who basically argue that, well, complexity, it's overrated.
Right. They managed to boil down pretty much all of life planning and self-leadership into just four simple questions. Really profound ones, though.
Simple but profound, and that simplicity, it's built on a pretty solid foundation, isn't it?
Oh, very credible. Dr. Lorber, for instance, he's well known for co-authoring Putting the One-Minute Manager to Work.
Right, with Ken Blanchard.
Exactly. And that link is important because Blanchard hits on the core idea here. Truly effective leadership, whether it's a team or a whole company, it really starts and ends with self-leadership.
Yeah, that makes sense. The author suggests too many of us are just human doings, as they put it, always busy.
Doing, doing, doing. Instead of being focused, human beings.
So our mission for you today is basically to distill that core philosophy, give you a kind of roadmap.
Yeah, help you get off that treadmill, whether it's corporate or, just life, and actually start designing your future.
Okay, let's kick off where most people probably find themselves sometimes stuck.
Right. And the authors have a great way of defining this. It's not failure, they say, but a regression of the imagination.
Oh, I like that. Regression of the imagination.
Yeah, when you're stuck, you're in what they call imagination gridlock. You sort of lose that sense of what's possible.
Right, the adventure fades.
Exactly. And maybe worst of all, you feel like you don't really have any meaningful control over your own life anymore.
And that constant doing, doing, doing you mentioned, that's what stops us reflecting, right?
Yes.
Stops us checking the map.
Precisely. If life's this journey, but there's no pre-printed map, the one thing you have to hold on to, your kind of North Star, is being true to yourself, the truth about who you really are and where you're trying to go.
And this is where that difference between professional strategy and personal strategy really hits home.
Oh, yeah. It's glaringly obvious sometimes. Think about Matt, that 65-year-old executive VP they talk about.
Okay.
Brilliant strategic plans for his Fortune 500 company, looking out years ahead. But for himself, absolutely zero life plan.
Wow. So what happened?
Well, when he retired, he just felt completely naked, was the word he used. Empty.
That's the real danger, isn't it? You can look super successful on the outside,
Generally.
but inside you're just adrift. And then you contrast Matt with Anna, the editor, 44 years old, gets laid off.
Yeah, she was just overwhelmed, kept putting off that self-reflection, thinking, who am I? That's a luxury I can't afford right now.
But the authors are saying that's exactly the knowledge you need to break that gridlock.
It's essential, non-negotiable, really. And that leads to this idea of course correction. It's so important.
The FAA analogy.
Yeah, exactly. Flying from LA to JFK. If your plane is just 1 degree off course,
Just 1 degree.
you land 26 miles away in White Plains, New York, not JFK. That tiny little deviation at the start, massive error by the end.
Wow. That really drives home the need for those constant small adjustments, even when everything seems fine.
Like Mark, the entrepreneur.
Right. Business booming. Life looks perfect from the outside.
Yeah, but he was completely ignoring his marriage until his wife literally handed him a letter about their eroding relationship.
Ouch. Sometimes you need that external shock, that wake-up call to realize you're that 1 degree off.
You really do. Which brings us right to the first big question, the one about defining your internal identity.
Okay. Question 1. Who are you and what do you want? The foundation, they say, of authentic self-leadership.
Exactly. And the core concept here is what they call the sweet spot. Imagine a Venn diagram
Okay.
with 3 overlapping circles.
What are they?
First, your strength. Your natural talents, gifts, what you're good at. Second, your passions, what you truly value, what gets you excited, motivates you.
Right.
And third, your obligations, the responsibilities, the things you have to do to meet your needs, your commitments.
Okay. Here's my challenge on that sweet spot, though. If I've got strengths and passions, but hardly any obligations, that sounds like a fun hobby. Or maybe just a vacation.
Fair point.
How do they make sure this isn't just self-indulgence? How do we balance that necessary responsibility without just, burning out immediately?
Well, the balance is crucial. They emphasize that if you just take away that obligation circle, it's not life design anymore. It's more like escapism.
Okay.
The key is that you have to View your obligations through the lens of your strengths and passions.
Ah, okay.
So if you're obligated to earn a living, for example,
Mhm.
doing it in a way that uses your core strengths makes the effort feel, well, sustainable, not draining.
Right. You're drawing energy from your strengths and passions to meet the obligations.
Exactly. You harness that energy. So it's about optimizing the intersection, not ditching responsibility.
Got it. They also make a really key psychological point here, right? The question isn't what you need, it's what you want.
Absolutely critical distinction. Focusing on what you want is inherently motivating. It pulls you towards the future.
Okay.
Focusing on a need often feels effortful, maybe rooted in a sense of lack. If you focus on the want, like, I want to become a published author, you engage your strengths, your passions right away.
Yeah, I can see that.
But if you focus only on the need, I need to pay the rent, well, that can feel more like a struggle, a chore.
It seems like making that shift, focusing on the want, often gets blocked by our own internal resistance. They talk about a couple of classic roadblocks here.
They do. The first one is tropophobia.
Tropo what?
Tropophobia. Basically the fear of change.
Ah.
But think of it less like some huge fear of totally upending your life,
Yeah.
and more like that inertia, the pull of the familiar,
No.
even if it's not great.
Like being afraid to cancel a subscription you never even use, just because you've always had it.
Exactly. Or sticking to a comfortable but honestly unfulfilling routine. Change means letting go of something familiar, and that can be uncomfortable.
Makes sense. And the other one is that classic, the imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah, the big one.
Yeah.
And the sources point out this isn't just for people who are, struggling
Right. It hits high achievers, too.
massively. They share this amazing story about a retreat for high achievers, PGA champions, even a former U.S. vice president were there.
Wow.
And pretty much all of them admitted they struggle with that fear of being found out, that feeling of not really deserving their success. It's a constant battle, even at the top.
That's actually kind of reassuring in a weird way.
It is. So once you've started to define that identity, who you are, what you want, then you move to question 2.
Which is, where are you and why are you there? This sounds like it's about getting real about your current situation.
Totally. Context and accountability. They call it interrogating reality.
Interrogating reality. I like that, too.
It means being brutally honest with yourself. But, and this is important, they say it's not just introspection or, navel gazing.
Okay.
You look in first at your identity from question 1, so that you can then look out at the world, at your actual circumstances, with an accurate perspective. You're measuring the gap.
And that gap has a name, right? The integrity gap.
That's it. It's the dissonance between what you say you value, your stated beliefs, and how you actually behave day to day.
And that dissonance isn't just uncomfortable emotionally.
No. The sources highlight it causes actual physiological stress. It can literally weaken your immune system.
Wow. Okay, so being out of alignment isn't just a feeling, it's physically detrimental.
Yeah. Jane Roeder, the executive they mentioned, great example of closing that gap.
What did she do?
Well, she said her family was her top priority. But her actions, her schedule, screamed that her job always came first. Classic integrity gap. So she took a sabbatical specifically to bring her actions back into alignment with her stated values, things like leadership, education, spirituality. And only then did she really find that sense of well-being.
So knowing who you are, question 1, and knowing where you are relative to that question. 2, that's the setup, before you can act.
Absolutely. Otherwise, any action you take is just, well, running faster, but maybe in completely the wrong direction.
Which brings us perfectly to question 3. What will you do, and how will you do it? Getting into action. And the first crucial step here is diagnosis.
Yes. Is the issue you're facing a problem or is it a predicament?
Okay, what's the difference? They sound similar.
They do, but the distinction is critical because they need totally different approaches. A problem is usually a negative, unexpected event. It's generally solvable.
Like a competitor launched a new product or you missed one deadline.
Exactly. That needs analysis, a clear solution. Fix it and move on.
But a predicament.
A predicament is different. It's the result of a habitual pattern of behavior. It's cyclical. To fix a predicament, you have to identify the underlying cause of that negative cycle.
Oh.
So if the problem is, I missed a deadline, the predicament might be, I chronically procrastinate and miss deadlines because deep down, I'm afraid of failure.
Gotcha. You can't just solve the predicament with a better calendar reminder.
Exactly. You have to address the root behavior. The story of Mary Hunt is perfect here.
The debt story.
Yeah. Her predicament wasn't just having debt. It was chronic, uncontrolled spending that landed her over $100,000 in unsecured debt.
Whoa.
Once she figured out the underlying cost she was tying her self-worth to her net worth, she stopped just treating the symptoms, the debt, and tackled the actual behavior.
And then she turned it around.
Big time. She used that incredibly difficult personal failure to found Debt-Proof Living, which became this huge, successful organization helping others. She turned her predicament into an asset.
That's incredible. So part of figuring out what you will do involves deciding what you won't do, right? The to-don't list.
Yes. This connects back to the 80-20 principle, Pareto's law.
Right. 80% of your results come from just 20% of your effort.
Exactly. Which means the other 80% of what you're doing is probably clutter, distraction, low-value stuff.
So success is often about subtraction, not just adding more to the list.
Definitely. You have to prioritize ruthlessly based on your values from question 1 and consciously decide what to eliminate, what goes on the to-don't list.
Okay. And when it comes to actually planning for change, they recommend a specific tool. Kurt Lewin's force field analysis.
Yeah, it's a really powerful way to visualize what's going on.
How does it work?
Well, you basically map out the forces that are keeping your current situation in equilibrium. On one side, you have the driving forces, things pushing for the change you want.
Okay.
On the other side, you have the restraining forces, things pushing against the change, holding you back.
Like inertia, fear, old habits.
Exactly. And here's the key insight. The most effective strategy for making change happen isn't always just trying to ramp up the driving forces, pushing harder.
Really? Why not?
Because that often just increases the tension, the stress.
Right.
It's often much more effective to focus on weakening or removing the restraining forces.
Ah, okay. So instead of just forcing yourself to exercise every single day a driving force,
Right.
you might focus on removing the things stopping you, the restraining forces, like laying out your workout clothes the night before, or maybe canceling that TV channel that sucks up your morning time.
Precisely. You make it easier for the change to happen by removing the friction.
Clever. And once you have that plan, you need to write it down.
Absolutely essential. Studies show just the act of putting your plans in writing and then reviewing them regularly increases your chances of actually achieving them by about 35%.
35%, just from writing it down.
Yep, significant. And, of course, those goals need to be SMART.
The classic acronym: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound.
Can't beat it for clarity.
I love the story about the NFL kicker, Rolf Benirski, understanding the step-by-step approach.
Oh yeah, after that life-threatening illness, he couldn't ask the big rational question, will I ever play football again? Because realistically, the answer was probably no.
Right, too overwhelming.
So instead, he just focused small. He asked, how do I just get through the next 6 hours?
Wow.
And his mother gave him that great advice. Don't look at the top of the mountain. Just understand it takes little steps to get there. Keep your head down.
That's a micro action in service of a huge macro goal. Brilliant.
That brings us to the final question, which is a critical reminder that none of this happens in a vacuum. Self-leadership isn't a solo act.
Right. Question 4. Who are your allies and how can they help? Because the biggest successes are usually interdependent.
Totally. The sources use the ultimate example of synergy here, the Apollo 13 rescue.
Houston, we have a problem.
Exactly. Flight director Gene Kranz didn't try to solve that crisis alone in his office. No way.
What did he do?
He leveraged the focus power, the synergy of 4 different specialized teams. The black team, gold, maroon, white teams, all working together, pooling their expertise, their collective imagination to bring that crew home safely. Success is a team sport.
And that kind of mutual support, that alliance. It requires trust. The authors have a simple formula for that too, right?
Super simple, super powerful. The trust formula. Keep simple agreements plus do no harm. Trust.
Okay, break that down. Keep simple agreements.
It just means do what you say you're going to do. Be reliable. If you commit to something, follow through consistently.
And do no harm.
That means you won't exploit someone's vulnerability when they trust you. You won't use information they shared in confidence against them later. You protect that trust.
Makes sense. The LA Angels manager, Mike Scioscia, talks about this too, how vulnerability isn't weakness for a leader.
Yeah, he sees vulnerability and transparency as major sources of strength. He lives by that rule. I will never hope to get from others what I myself am unwilling to give.
That's real openness. That's what builds strong alliances.
Definitely. And you need different kinds of allies. A diverse support structure. They define 4 types of mentors you really need.
4 types. Okay, what are they?
First, upward mentors.
Yeah.
People who helped shape you, guided you earlier on.
Okay.
Second, friendship mentors. Your peers, people who share the journey, the life experiences with you.
Got it.
Third, sandpaper mentors.
Sandpaper. Like rough.
Exactly. The ones who challenge you, rub you the wrong way sometimes, force you to see things differently.
Ah, the uncomfortable ones.
Often, yeah. And fourth, downward mentors. People you invest in, mentor, and guide.
Interesting. Okay, wait. If I'm listening right now and I suddenly realize, uh-oh, I only have friendship mentors, you know, the people who just nod and agree with all my terrible ideas.
Yeah.
What's my actionable assignment? What do I do now?
Your assignment is to actively seek out a sandpaper mentor. Find someone who won't just validate everything you say. Someone who will challenge your assumptions, push back, make you defend your thinking, force you to confront your blind spots. They're often the most uncomfortable relationships, maybe, but absolutely crucial for real growth.
Because those sandpaper mentors and trusted allies in general, they're the ones most likely to give you the really tough feedback.
Exactly. What the sources call the final 10% feedback.
The final 10%. What's that?
Well, most people, even friends, will give you the easy 90%, the stuff that's safe to say. But that last 10%, the really honest truth about your blind spots, the stuff that might be hard to hear,
Yeah.
that's where the real gold is for growth, even if it stings a bit initially.
And there's a tool for understanding this, the Johari window.
Yeah, it's a simple model mapping self-knowledge. You have your open area, what you and others know, your secret self, what only you know, your blind spots, what others see but you don't, and your unknown potential. Getting that candid 10% feedback is how you shrink those blind spots and expand your open area. It's like letting someone else look over your shoulder and point out what you simply can't see about yourself.
And that helps unlock the unknown potential.
Precisely.
Okay, so putting it all together, whether you feel like you're perfectly on track right now or maybe completely off course, these 4 questions,
Identity, reality, action, and allies.
they provide that clarity, that focus, that direction you need for the journey ahead. And clarity, well, clarity creates hope, doesn't it?
It really does. And that focused energy becomes like a laser beam. Makes any problem feel more manageable, more solvable.
Catherine Kenny, former president of the New York Stock Exchange, she put it really well.
What did she say?
Clarity of what we want creates the standards that keep us moving forward when the wind is in our face.
Powerful. Clarity is the standard setter.
Yeah. So maybe we can leave you with a final thought, some wisdom from the legendary coach John Wooden. He understood this journey of life so well. He once said, "The moment your past becomes more exciting than your future is the day you start to die."
Wow. Heavy but true.
Right. So the invitation is, use these 4 questions, starting right now, to make sure that your future, the journey ahead, always stays thrilling and exciting.